is Screendivers. In this week's episode, we are talking about 1997 Perfect Blue. This movie is directed by Satoshi Kon, screenplay by Sadayuki Murai, and it's based on Perfect Blue Complete Metamorphosis, a book written by Yoshikatsu Takeuchi. Produced by Masao Murayama, Itomi Nakasagi, Yoshihisa Ishihara, Yutaka Togo, and Hiroki Inoue. And starring Junko Iwao, Rica Matsumoto, Shiho Niyama, Masahaki Okura, Shinpachi Tsuji, and Emiko Furukawa. Cinematography by Isao Shirai. Edited by Arutoshi Ogata. Music by Masahiro Ikumi. Produced by Madhouse and distributed by Rex Entertainment. This movie was entirely made in Japan. It has a running time of 81 minutes, and it was made for a budget of 90 million yen. That's the equivalent of $830,000 US. Allegedly, this movie made $3 million at the box office. How are you guys?
I'm good. Ricky?
I was waiting. I am excellent. I am so pleased that this otaku can now talk about anime on this show. I feel like I've been waiting for 2 years. Thank goodness.
Super K-wa!
How is everybody else, including you, Umba?
I'm alright, man. I'm alright, but I'm even better because today we are screen diving at first into a Venn diagram of spreadsheets, celluloid nightmares, and melancholic dream pop soundscapes. Our guest today is a millennial anomaly who balances his maniacal love for analytics with living out in the rustic Florida farmlands near Orlando. When he's not cross-referencing pivot tables or hunting down obscure data points, you can find him hanging out in the Friends of Our Weekly Facebook group, chatting away about blood-soaked cinema, or out and about trying to frame the perfect shot. And if that resume wasn't enough to describe this Renaissance man, he is also a musical virtuoso who plays everything from the piano to the violin and channels it all into his indie shoegazy dream pop project, The Atomic Dream Age. Ladies and gentlemen, get your spreadsheet ready, dim the lights and turn up the volume. Please welcome to the show, Gregg Schwartz!
Love it. Thank you.
How are you, Greg?
Doing great. Yeah, thanks for that intro. First off, I thought it was interesting you chose Perfect Blue for me to watch because it connects quite closely with a lot of the ideas I explore for the Atomic Dream Age.
That's all well and good, but that's not why we did this movie. We did this movie because Chloe, your partner, loves this movie.
That's right. Yeah.
And she's been trying to get you to watch this movie for a while.
I know, right? All I needed was just a third-party intervention.
A little push. That's all right.
3 middle-aged guys told you to watch this film, and you're like, you know what?
A quintessential question must be asked. Ricky, what is this movie about?
Looking to get ahead in the industry, Mima is moving on from her J-pop group, Chame. Wait a minute. Is it Shame or Cham? Or
Cham. Cham, because J sounds like CH.
Yeah, because I read it as Shame. Anyway, that would have actually, on a side note, I'll start again, but on a side note, I want this kept in. It would have been great if it was called Shame, right? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Or Sham.
Oh, Cham. Like a chamois.
Sham, as in...
Yeah.
No, like a sham, like something that it's bullshit.
Yeah,
like a ruse.
Yeah, shame. Like like a sham. Yeah,
sham. Yeah.
All right, I'll start again.
Okay.
Looking to get ahead in the industry, Mima is moving on from her J-pop group, Cham, and looking for fortune and fame by extending her entertainment career to television. With only a few lines per episode, she needs a better hook or make a statement to be noticed by the script writer or the producer. Little does she know that she is the only one who wants this, as most of her fan base wants to keep her as a pop idol and where she is right now. A Perfect Blue is not for the faint-hearted, but we're going to explore it.
So, guys, what were your first experiences with this? Because I mean, mine is going back to the original manga release in the UK. So, Manga Entertainment released a copy of this on VHS.
Do you remember when?
1998.
Yeah, it'd be 98, because the dub would have been done in 98, and
Yeah.
that's when manga would have released
Fuck
it.
the dub.
Any of us would not watch a dub of this. We need the actual original language.
Particularly with this movie, but then we'll talk about why.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so with me, the original video release but I have to say that video release was a dubbed version.
Yeah, it was Manga Entertainment.
Yeah.
They wouldn't release any subtitles products back in the mid to late 90s. They just thought there wasn't a market for it. But more the fool them, because now look at how much you have to pay for a 4K release of this film. Because you can only get the special edition or the collector's edition or whatever it is. However, I'm probably stupid enough to buy it in the future. I actually watched the DVD copy of this that I have. However, I did also source whether I could get a Blu-ray copy, and all of the original Blu-ray copies from about 10 or 15 years ago have disappeared because of this new G-Kids version that is like their 4K copy, and it's an absurd price. But you know what? To keep anime alive, why not? Why not sell a child just to buy a copy of a film? I was similar to you, mate. I was an anime head from a disturbingly young age. Like, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I realize how young I was when I first saw Yurusuka Doji. And
dicks in the sky.
Tentacles.
No, flying dicks, dude. Flying dicks in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much going on. And yet I must have seen the uncensored version of that when I was like 14. So
Likewise, dude.
Yeah, same.
And then things like Golgo 13, The Professional, of course Akira, Crying Freeman. I saw all of Crying Freeman at a disturbingly
I read the manga as well. Crying Freeman is phenomenal. Yeah.
So, of course, when this got released on video by Manga Entertainment, of course, it was one of the films that I sourced, got a copy of. I don't even remember how. I don't even remember if it was like through a friend of a friend or whether I actually went into back then HMV and bought the video and just had it. But yes, very early on, I consumed Perfect Blue, and I actually am very sore with myself that I saw a Perfect Blue at such a young age. There are so many themes that would have gone way over my head, and I wouldn't have got why this film is so important and why this
particularly
film
today, like you say,
is such a is an influence. And it's funny because you were talking about numbers and box office and stuff. The way that this film was received by other otakus and other animation studios when it first got released was that it didn't make enough money in the domestic. So that, again, he felt like a failed director. Even though this was his first feature, Kon Satoshi basically felt like that he failed. And he actually had so many gripes with Western audiences mimicking or trying to take little elements of his anime because of that. And I think I was the same. When I saw this at such a young age, I just saw, oh, cool, there's like a murder mystery with like stabbing, there's some boobies, and I wish to God that I actually saw this like later on, but I didn't. I saw it in 98. So I was a youthful mind who wanted blood and boobies.
My experience with this movie, I was in Melbourne, and there was a cinema that it's a famous cinema. It's in a venue protected by heritage laws in Melbourne called the Astor Cinema. And it's a great cinema because it's a very old venue. So it used to be an auditorium. They turned it into a cinema. I watched a lot of classics there, and this was a movie that was playing at some point in 1999. It was actually the original Japanese version with subtitles. that was playing in Australia. So we were lucky. But the idea is that there's a point to be made that in 1999, 1998, and whatever the Western market was exposed to, we're on the eve of the internet. We're on the eve of this age we're before social media, before constant instant validation and feedback from the public, which would drive you mad. So when we say that this movie was way ahead of its time, that's not a light statement. It was way ahead of its time. The statement that it was made back then by the novel, by the way, the novel and the movie differ, not just factually what happens in the story and how the story progresses and where the focus is. I think actually the focus of the movie is much more poignant than what the novel was focusing on. The novel was focusing on the serial killing, and a lot of people didn't digest it because of that, but this one was making a different statement, slightly different, in my opinion. And Satoshi really focused on the road to perdition, right? But I don't know how the fuck he managed to look that far ahead, because our protagonist, what's the name of our protagonist again? Mima? Mima. We are going to talk about a concept that continuously comes up on our show, which is the unreliable narrator. And it's inevitable now that at least myself, Ricky, Steve, I know that we are fools for it. We love it when a story is being told by the point of view of someone that is not to be trusted. And the line continuously gets blurred here to the point in which even my memory of this movie is distorted. We watched last night with Steve here, and it was a joyous experience, but it flagged for me. Like at the beginning. There's a first, second, and third act. This movie got me in the first act, then it kind of flagged a little, and then it brought me back in the middle of the second act. But hard. I was in. That's it. Like there was no way. And I was hanging of every single sequence. I wanted to know what was happening next. And the thing is, I think the movie really grabs you when you settle. When you settle, whatever you see now, the lines have been blurred. So your imagination runs wild as you watch it. But until that point happens, you start doubting. You stop suspending disbelief. That's when the movie kind of irritates. It can irk a lot of people. I think it was doing that to me. But when something happened, you'll go, oh shit, now I need to know what happens. Now I need to know what's at the end of this mystery. And before we proceed,
if you're listening to this and you have not seen this film, or if you have not seen any of the previous iterations of the plot of Perfect Blue, even when it comes to the novel or the graphic novels that came after it, please, please, please watch the film before you carry on with this podcast.
Don't be afraid of me. I'm watching you. I saw you on the screen. I know I'm meant to be. You're starting in my dreams. The magazines, you're looking right at me. I'm here around the clock. I'm waiting on your block. But please don't call the cops. They'll make me stop. And I just wanna talk.
your first experience with this movie, man.
Yeah, so I was enthralled by it. Sort of like you, it was disoriented at times. Like there were moments I felt like I need to stop and question whether I was watching something that was actually happening in the narrative, or was it part of Double Bind? I think that's the name of the show that Double Bind, and or is it inside Mima's head? I was tempted to like pause and rewind, but I was like, no, I'm gonna power through, watch this all, ingest it, watch it a second time, try to like see like where those blurred lines all are. And then another thing I took away from it, and you kind of mentioned it as well, is like just how groundbreaking this movie was. Like it's the look and feel of the movie. It's beautiful. It's designed extremely cinematic. The choice of light in, the colors, the use of reflections. Something that really stood out to me was like the amazing use of transitions that felt very deliberate. This is clearly a director that loves cinema. Like you can see it throughout this, and for it to be their first movie is amazing to me.
It is tragic how young Mr. Satoshi was when he passed, because we're in Bill Hicks territory here. Pancreatic cancer. I wish he had a more prosperous career and a longer lifespan, really. He died at 46. He died in 2010, and he died on the eve of the release of Black Swan. So I actually don't have a lot of beef with Aronofsky. I do have some gripes with his career, how exploitative he can be, but then I actually had to go out of my way to dive a little bit. And the stuff I found about this movie and the connections to Perfect Blue are pretty nasty. To the point in which he died in August 2010, and Aronofsky released Black Swan. He held back the release of the movie and released it around Christmas, released it in December. It was shown at Cannes shortly after the passing of Mr. Satoshi. And it's strange because this man almost died in dereliction. We're poor territory. Like his career was in the dumps because this movie didn't make much money. Paprika didn't bring that much either. And then there was development hell for his last work. Someone like Aronofsky, considering what he did with the rights to this movie, Darren purchased the rights of this movie in 2000 because it was a particular sequence he wanted to use in Requiem for a Dream. It's a bathtub sequence. Now, he had to let go of the rights because obviously that pushed the budget for Requiem for a Dream up, but he did purchase the rights so that he could use that. And again, 2000, it's not constant exposure. Social media has given so much exposure and continuously shines a light over every step you take when you're in the limelight. So it got to the point in which it did some things clinically. And I'm talking about Aronofsky, like he wrote a eulogy for Satoshi when he died, held back the release of his movie, and then I sent something, and we'll put it in the comments. What are the comments? What are we talking about here? If you are a Screendiver listener, we always invite you to go to the comments on our social media, go to Facebook, go to the episode in question, and we always will put, instead of doing show notes that nobody looks at, we'll put some links onto the episode that will be a point of conversation if you decide to join. And hopefully you do. Talking to you, listener. So in this instance, we will put a side-by-side comparison of something that verges in the world of plagiarism. Because it's not, I understand someone like Tarantino, for example, as a thief. That's the Arsenio Lupin of thievery. But this is classless. Obviously, the bathtub sequence is frame by frame. But every single thing that was placed in Black Swan, it's kind of, you would think that if you question over it, you would admit to it. But he didn't. He skirted around the question every fucking time. And that's how you lose my respect as a viewer. Yeah. Not that he gives a shit anyway. I have no impact on the man's career, but it's not the first time he did this. So that's one thing to discuss. And it's a shame because where am I going with this? If you were so inspired by Satoshi's work, which he was, he admittedly said more than once that, he was an incredibly inspirational figure to him, but this is before, right? When he got enough exposure, Mr. Satoshi was not mentioned ever again. What I would have done, I would have bought the rights of the movie that was never finished.
Yeah.
And I would have put that out there out of respect. I would have done that. And I don't know how the fuck he can sleep at night without doing that. Simple as that.
I had such a negative reaction back in 2010 over Black Swan. I said to myself, it's been a long time before watching A Perfect Blue, and it's been a long time since I've watched Black Swan. So I'm going to watch Black Swan first. And I did.
Oh, no, you didn't.
You'll be much. You know what? I thought this was going to descend into me and you arguing today. I mean, it will, but not for the reason that. Yeah, not for the.
We're waiting for that reason, but let's go.
Absolutely, whatever the fuck that is. But in this instance, I thought it was going to be, because we never had, I think we probably did a couple times. I had problems with Aronofsky. I have problems with exploitative filmmaking. I don't like when something is didactic and you're expecting me not to find it that way. Like, I have zero respect for Requiem for a Dream. I think it's, shock value, and that's okay. I mean, the fucking movie ends with a strobe light effect.
And ass,
you know what I mean? Okay. Okay, fine. You gave us fucking endless memes for life, but dude, I can show you a frame of that sequence. Well, not just a guy saying ass to ass, and you'll know what movie that is. But again, these are not accolades to brag about.
And hilariously, actually, exactly the point of an article that I was reading, the story arc of Jennifer Connelly's character in Requiem for a Dream is very akin to the stuff that Mima
he's obsessed, dude. He's fucking obsessed with this movie.
So the scene we've just talked about, yes, we were making a little joke about the ass to ass and Keith David like standing there with a big grin on his face. But the male cohorts who are like surrounding them, it is very much akin to the
rape sequence,
televised rape scene, and how very quick you're looking at the male faces around it rather than what the action's going on. And yeah, actually, some of the shots in Requiem for the Dream, he does exactly the same thing as Perfect Blue, which is he puts actors in the way of the action so you can't see it. But again, Kubrick does the same thing. You know, anyway, my point is, I saw Black Swan and I went in there to fill up my hump of hate for Black Swan.
Like a hate camel or a hate dromedary.
This is where the argument's going to start. I left Black Swan going, there's a lot more subtlety in Black Swan than I first gave it credit for. I hated Black Swan because I thought it was very, very in your face. There's no subtlety to it whatsoever. And then when I got to like the third or the fourth act of Black Swan, I was like, oh, God damn it, Darren. You're actually making me like you, because there is subtlety during the last act of Black Swan, and there are some little elements.
Yeah, but it's not the direction, dude. It's a performance. That's my opinion. Like I understand. It's a great performance.
But okay, the one thing that got me was, throughout Black Swan, she has a scar on her back, and she's constantly scratching on it. Just before she goes and does the performance and she's like powdering herself up, she goes to powder her shoulder where a scar is. There is no scar. And I was like, oh my God, you asshole. How dare you be actually subtle? You've never been subtle in your life. And this point in this fucking movie that I've hated for years. And then I was like, I've got to give it to Black Swan. You know, I'm putting it in the same category as The Whale. The only thing I hate about Black Swan is that the character starts off so mediocre, whimpery, and I to a point where I'm like, you're playing the good guy around all of these bad people, and I fucking hate that.
Look, again, it's didactic, right? Even the way he builds a character, just because it's basically making the character more exposed to peril. You know, you take power away from them, just give them one dimension, they're powerless, and then build. It's a weird arc for a hero's journey, but he does that in every movie.
Yeah, he does.
So he makes them powerless. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then empowers them throughout the journey. Ultimately, it's got the same trajectory. Again, I'm not a fan, dude. I am not a fan. I'm not a fan because I find him to be dishonest. And that's the worst thing that you can do as an artist in any field. Music, this medium, anything. If I pick up on lack of honesty in your work, it filters through unless you're a fucking idiot. You can see it, right?
All right. So why, and I know this isn't meant to be a conversation about Aronofsky.
It won't be. It's drop him in a moment.
But why every time he releases a film, he hooks you? Why, for example, I'm not saying hooks you, I'm saying generally as an audience.
The general public, It's Nolan,
because, for example,
Aronofsky, wait a sec, say on this. There's a reason. People are culturally starved. There's a miasma of fucking media. They are. We all are. That's why when someone releases a movie in a weird format, people go, oh, it's because we're fucking starved. We live in an age of everything is algorithmic that gets made. So whenever there is something that has a little bit of mastery attached to it, people gobble it up now.
Yeah. Even if
we are in a cultural chasm, dude. That's what's happening.
But
I'm sorry, but
the thing.
times are fucking dark. However, there's promise because when this happens, normally there's a renaissance. You know what I mean? So we're on the way up, I think. I don't know. It's cyclical.
So, for example, I'm not an Aronofsky fan. Like, Pi, yes. Now
you keep saying that, but there's praise. You're sneaking praise in there.
But that's what I mean. I'm not an Aronofsky fan, but The Whale was a great film. And
it's performance driven.
No.
Performance driven.
No. It might actually be because it was a play first, and it works so well as a play.
Yes.
That's why. But then the camera movement, there's a lot to Aronofsky where
but that's what you praise about it. I praise the performance, dude. That movie is nothing without the lead's performance.
Do you run Aronofsky's room like how Memania runs Mima's website? If I start searching online,
you know what? If Steve had a little bit of time to do the fucking edits, I would. I would have more free time to run Darren Mania.
Would you go, dear diary,
D-Mania.
today they made me do a film.
You know what? I'm not a hateful person. All right. I don't have time for negative energy, but I make time every Saturday for 90 minutes. So sometimes I make some time. All right. So we're not going to, that's it. Aronofsky is now awfully out of the conversation.
He's
Let's
done.
push him out. Get the
Well,
fuck
it's
out of
done.
here, Darren.
I've contained my rage for as long as possible, but I shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves! Begone, vile man! Begone from me!
There's a little bit of a trope at the end of this movie, and it's our protagonist, Mima, walking out of the facility in which Rumi is now being looked after. She gets in the car, and she looks in the rearview mirror, and she says one thing, which is, I am me. Is that correct? Is that what she says? Now, as the viewer, you can't help but have a seed of doubt being planted a little bit.
Mhm.
At the same time, it's truly the closer of the movie. So it kind of makes a statement, an empowering statement for our protagonist, which is she finally knows who she is. The lines have been unblurred. However, it's the tone. If you watch this with the original dubbing in Japanese, there is a naivety to the voice that kind of reinforces both points here when she says it. And it's beautiful because the movie has finally done what you've been waiting. You've been waiting for that gift. You've been waiting for, okay, the lines are clear now. I got it. And then just in the last second. And in fact, if you go online, it's not, but just the fact that it caused conversation and people are still talking about it today is enough. And I go as far as telling you one thing. Anyone here that has seen Send Help?
Yes.
Yeah.
It took this viewing of the movie for me to see what other directors are. Other directors are still paying homage, not stealing, but paying homage to
Not
this movie.
paying homage. Yeah.
At the end of Send Help, our protagonist is in the car driving. Do you remember that sequence? It's
Yes.
an obvious nod to this movie. It's a playful, nod at Satoshi's work. And that's sorry, I have to bring Darren, get the fuck back in here. So I just, for someone to have the leverage this fucking guy has as a director now and not do something of value to pay homage to this man's legacy is offensive. It's offensive and it's vulgar. You know what I mean? Like I want someone to inject some money into this last project. What's it called, guys? What is the movie we're talking about, by the way? The one that is unfinished.
Dreamin' Machine? Yeah, it says, time of his death in 2010, he was working on an ambitious fifth film titled Dreamin' Machine, but it remained unfinished.
Remained unfinished. The project was given to somebody else. They finished the work. 90 minutes done. However, then the production company decided not to go ahead with it because they didn't find it profitable. The person that was attached to the project felt uncomfortable in the movie, being attached to him. It was a nightmare, right? But this is money. At the end of the day, it's money. Someone with enough money should have stepped in. Someone perhaps tried to step in before to get his way. Aronofsky.
Yeah.
Why? You know what? Like I said earlier, I wouldn't be able, as a person, not as an artist, or not to say face, like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. This would haunt me. It would haunt me. It's insane to me. And that is perdition as well. You know what I mean? Like that's what the industry, and that's what this movie is about. It's that road to perdition, to fame, right? We have a take from many directors that we like, and I wonder what David Lynch thought of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Wow.
got to be something out there. He must have loved this movie, dude.
It would fit his key kind of aspects
Absolutely.
of movies. Yeah.
I haven't heard him talk specifically of Perfect Blue, but he was a fan of anime. So of course this would have crossed some sort of thing. I think I've heard him talk more about Tokyo Godfathers.
Oh,
Yes.
well,
So-
there you go. Yeah.
Which is the same. Yeah.
That's actually the most humorous movie this man has made.
Yeah,
There's a lot of humor in it, which is great. It's like Three Men and a Baby, but in Tokyo, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're going to have to put that on the schedule, dude.
Do-do-de-yo-do. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do-do-de-yo-do. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do-do-do-do. I hate to leave you, but I really must say, good night, sweetheart. Good night. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Baby, I just can't treat you right. Well, I hate to leave you, baby. I don't mean
How about
maybe,
Three Men and a Little Lady where they go to England?
Oh my god! Is that a sequel?
Yeah.
Did you not watch
With Tom
the sequel?
Selleck and
Yeah. All the
Yeah.
cast return.
the fact that you know about it is more of a problem for me
Because
than
I
the
was a
fact that-
kid when it came out, and it was something I could go to the cinema with my parents.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Greg, do you know what
Yeah.
we're talking about here?
No, I haven't seen that, but I was going to add a comment on like the ending of Perfect Blue.
Get in there.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to get back to this movie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
you
yeah,
want to
this
stay
movie.
on track.
Yeah.
That's what
You
this
wanna stay on
episode's
track,
about,
stay on track,
right?
man. Go.
Oh, well, loosely.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought up, the uncertainty at the ending. Like I found it, triumphant, Mima declaring that she is the real one.
Mhm.
But then you also have her looking at the rearview mirror, which throughout the movie, there's so many reflections of Mima. One that stood out to me was like when she's on the subway train and she looks out and sees her reflection as a pop idol. And so the ending to me, felt really powerful because it's Mima performing to her reflection, whereas other scenes, the reflections performing to her.
True. It also cements the fact that she now has found their identity. She wanted to transition to being an actress. And that's what takes away from all these theories online, because technically you could have had the heavy-handed Giallo-like, the reflection of Rumi, or the reflection of, if it was a reflection of Mima as the pop idol, then the lines have been blurred again. I would have taken that ending as well, but it's.
I think it's more clear cut than that, because I feel like one thing we're not talking about is Rumi being the killer. I believe Rumi is drugging Mima a lot earlier.
Yes.
So I believe she's being drugged.
Yeah.
So
They share
Mima,
cake. They share cake and they share tea.
yeah,
more than
all
once.
of that stuff, and drink your drink and all of this stuff. Rumi is drugging Mima earlier on in the film than the last act. So when she starts seeing the reflections and whatnot, that's actually like the beginning of her drug hallucinations. And the I'm me at the end is the first time she's looking at herself and she can trust her own image.
Yes.
Because and it might be something as simple as, and it gets brought up in other films that may or may not have stolen this film, that it might be something like her being a pop idol means that she has like very bad nutrition. She's always trying to keep thin. So she's having delusions because of the lack of eating she's having. But it's possible that Rumi has been drugging her for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So that's why she has like no concept of whether her image is talking to her or not, or whether she's seeing herself, because by the time we get to the third act, it becomes very obvious she's being drugged, which is why it keeps slipping in between her on set, her in bed, her talking to Rumi, and all over again and again and again, like Groundhog Day.
But it's also the transitions between the two rooms.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
because what you get is the one room which has got the dead fish and the one room which hasn't got the dead fish. The poster is still up in one room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's seen earlier on. And everything else is exactly the same. It's done
It's like
really, really well.
Done in little bursts so
Yeah.
that it's not like in your face, because you're still thinking about another point that you focused on earlier. So it's masterful. However, I'm really interested in pursuing the point you guys were making, Greg and Ricky, about control and about manipulation. It's hinted at, but it's never remarked the fact that there was any substance given to her, because there's no need. I think she's completely under this spell of coercion that is casted by her management team. And you can see her give into it, little by little, more and more, until she's lost. You know what I mean? And you can see also the reaction of both managers, how it's when you go back and start thinking about it, the set pieces are phenomenal. They're phenomenal. I'm so glad that we did this watch, because I did not, like Ricky was saying earlier, my perception of this movie in 1999 went right over my head. Even if I'm a little bit older than Ricky, there's even the way I handled the sexual violence in Screen. I'm older now. I was sitting on the couch. I recoiled
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Same.
when I watched this the first time, it was like, oh, this is like a Japanese pervy thing that they're doing here. And I'm not afraid of saying that. That's just the way it was sold to the public, right? But that wasn't the intention of the director. And the thing is, this world of sexual violence, this is animated, and yet this sexual violence got me to recoil in horror a little bit. And I don't have kids. I don't, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you kind of have a different approach to it. Maybe the times that we live in are more conscious of this. And if anything, I think these sequences are still something to judge a little from Satoshi's point of view, but it's not even his fault. This is the world. It was 1997. It was made, this movie must have taken years to finish, right? So it must have been the early 90s when this project started. It's animation in Japan, and these things take a long time. A movie like an animated movie this caliber would have taken 5 years to make. Easy. I don't even know how long that's, the record of cell animation of this type. It just took a long time, particularly when you have a smaller team and a smaller budget, right? But when it comes down to the road to perdition, it's not even the red herring.
I guess to your point about like the sexual violence, the movie has like 3 of them, if I recall. You have like the simulated rape scene early where I thought that was really powerful because you see Rumi break down and cry. Like, you may think like, is she concerned for Mima, or is it more like the desecration of that pure idol image that she worshipped? So I thought that was like super powerful. Then you have the scene with the photographer where at first it's all innocent and then she gets objectified and undressed. And like a good thing to call out on that scene specifically is I feel like that's sort of when the transitions blur even further. Like we really start seeing Mima descend more into that madness. I think directly following that scene, you have this iconic transition of Mima talking with an investigator, and then it pulls out, and you're like, oh, this is actually the double bind film shoot.
That's like, so cool the way it's done, man.
So well done.
There's a sequence in particular in which the confusion, that's when I started enjoying it. That's when I started enjoying the blurred lines, because the circus started in my head. I was like, oh my God, why is this movie doing this to me? I love it. And it's when there's a particular transition from double bind from the screen, and you'll see the set, right? And when you see the set, you start thinking, at least I started thinking, is Mima fantasizing about this being a TV set? Is this in her head? Ricky, did you go there as well? Were you doing that?
Well, maybe when I originally watched this time round, I was in awe of, we talk so much nowadays about the male gaze, and this whole thing is basically putting on show what the male gaze really is. I actually went on a deep dive to be like, when Mima goes to the photographer, I was like, is this usual? When someone's being an actress in Japan, is it usual that they get forced or coerced into taking their clothes off and being in a nudie magazine? And I started having a read of like what went down in Japan. And in 2017, they had a massive crackdown because it is happening. Like younger actresses or newer actresses are being coerced into X-rated films, adult videos. And they had a massive crackdown in 2017 around it because they basically were saying like, you can't do this anymore. There's a lot of history that goes into Perfect Blue that it seems very surface when you first watch it, but the more and more you think about it, the more and more you're like, my goodness, the way, the attitude everybody has to Mima trying to get through the industry, including the otakus who are like picking up the magazines and just commenting on her constant. Like the bit that I loved the most on this viewing was her giving the interview about like, oh, I'm just trying to get into acting, spliced with the public's opinion of her. Was magical, and it doesn't get talked about enough the way this film actually deals with the fact that again, the public think they own celebrities. The public,
but that's the message this guy was putting out there in '97.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And again, when he started this work, I don't think it was not the focus of the novel, so he did better. He did better. He was way ahead of his time. He was, and people if you go online, this movie is so polarizing. There's a lot of people that go, oh, it's overrated. Well, it's because you're looking at the surface.
I went into a deep dive in idol culture, and the simple fact that what we're seeing in this is a very close snapshot of idol culture.
Yeah.
And what's happening. And a lot of this is middle-aged men. And while this was being filmed, there was a guy who actually sent,
Like the stalking aspect you're talking about.
Yeah. He sent a bomb as a letter to an artist, which was Bjork. And it was during the same time this happened. Yeah.
I think there's a documentary out at the moment. That dude is the reason why Bjork doesn't meet with fans anymore.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And you have that letter that explodes too in an earlier scene of violence in the movie.
Indeed. It's, again, we talked about this movie being ahead of its time, and it's mind-blowing how many topics it touches. You know, Ricky, you said earlier that Japan took action in, 2017 to reinforce the way union powers are executed when it comes down to the entertainment industry, and that's good. And Steve, you mentioned J-pop culture. And that's a thing that is still ongoing because it's so ingrained in society and the transition that people that are in J-pop have to make, because once you go past a certain age, you're out. So you got to jump out and transition if you want to stay in the entertainment industry. This is still ongoing. This is still a thing. In South Korea, it's the same thing with K-pop, because you need to be a certain age to appeal to that demographic. And once you're out of it, your career is over unless you jump into something else. And acting is the next best thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Again, it's like this movie should be at the top of the mountain when it comes down to these topics. And it rarely gets mentioned. People that like it, they idolize it. And I think for all of us here, it was a refreshing experience. Like we said, because when it came out was ahead of its time, I don't think that we could, it wasn't just our age, but I think the framework, the world we lived in just didn't see the importance of this.
When you look at anime and you look at this film, always rises above the rest. And all of his work is always that little bit above everything else. One of the things we haven't talked about at the moment is Mr. Mima, the obsessive fan. And it's funny because he gets presented to us as somebody who just is a protector almost. He tries to be a protector. And
he works for her. Uchida, Mamoru, he works for her. He's hired to work for her.
Well,
no. He's hired by Rumi to work for. It's not super stated in the movie, but if you look at the outline of the plot of this movie, I had to read it. Yeah. You're right. It's not made clear cut, but I'll tell you that he was hired by Rumi, her management, to be a security guard. Hence the yellow band on the arm. He's a security guard at the gigs, and that's how Rumi manages to manipulate him into it. So,
but after that point, when she is being filmed for Double Blind, he's just literally, and actually that does make a lot of sense. How is he keep appearing?
He gets access.
And also his mentality and his dive into insanity is done amazingly. The posters all on the wall talking at him, the specter of Mima like holding him from behind. And it's just that weird thing where, like, when he finally does the deed of like trying to be like, you're not the right Mima, and I've got to save the real Mima for her. It's actually, it doesn't feel exploitative. It doesn't feel like a trauma film. It doesn't feel like schlock horror. It actually feels like this has been building up to this really well. It's done really well. And now I'm going to go back to that other point that you suddenly made me realize. During the stage rape scene that's being filmed, I was like, what the hell is he doing there? But that's the point. It's the male gaze. He is the one person who is trying to protect this innocent version of Mima. And, like we see him like grabbing at all the pornography that she's in and trying to like buy it all. And everyone's probably looking at him like, oh my God, like what a freak. But he's trying to protect this image. And I was thinking, what the hell is he doing there? But of course, Rumi would have just been like, yes, you are allowed access to all of her life. This is why you're doing the blog. I have employed you now to do the blog.
Yeah, he runs the Mima's room.
he's actually doing the blog page. So Rumi's like giving him all the information that he then doubles up onto the blog page.
I had to read the plot synopsis of the movie this morning. And when I read it, I was like, oh shit. Now this scene makes sense. This scene makes sense. This scene makes sense. And one in particular, which is the first time we meet him, is right by the bleachers, right? And you can see that there's another person that walks between this. You know, when you go to a gig, you've got the guardrails, right? And then you got security at the front in a passage, right? And the guy, you see somebody walking wearing exactly the same outfit at the concert. Not to mention the fact that he gets into a scuffle with these four that are being disruptive. And you'll think, okay, everyone's going to get ejected, right? No, that's his job. That's his job. His job is to stop that. So that's why he gets agency in doing that. The first time he confronts the four otakus or whatever they are that are, you know, drunk and disorderly. But that's even like the scene when we meet Mamoru the first time, when we meet Uchida the first time. It's great. How he's got his hand and Mima is in the palm of his hand, right?
So would you say that like Me Mania like represents like the audience's possessiveness?
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Definitely.
And you want all that foreshadowing that we talked about earlier? Social media. How you get someone with a little bit of technology, they can get an instant hold on everything you do. Everything. Every step you take. Everything that is public. Everything. And you will get feedback if you dare to look. That's why these people become so detached. When you get to that level of notoriety, either you detach or you go fucking crazy. The problem is that detachment that comes with weird behavior or a lack of empathy. There's always something to play, right? And nothing is black and white. So I'm being empathetic here. Because in the world we live in now, to get that level of exposure, the price to pay is way too high. You forget forget privacy, but they get paid millions. Like, when you really get closer to it, which one would you prefer?
Yeah, exactly. Like, does a public figure even own their identity? You know, once millions of people have emotionally invested in that version of them. And like, we see that battle with Mima where, you know, I think that's one of the most the central theme here is, you know, that dissociation of like, she's trying to shed that pop idol identity of hers and find her real identity. And like, you brought up too that, you know, the entertainment industry, like even when she becomes an actress or tries to become an actress, things haven't changed really. You know, she gets one line, she's objectified, and, you know, she's still trying to figure out who as Mima, who am I? And I think that's one of her lines too, which is really powerful. Is like, who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah. And she repeats it over and over again.
I am what I am. I am my own special creation. So come take a look. Give me the hook or the ovation. It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say I am what I am.
Let's talk about the one thing that probably excited us when we first saw this, but now us as older men, the gore. This was a lot gorier than I remember it being.
Dude.
It was so good.
The glass shattering, it's like Argento, dude. Now, we talked about Mr. Darren Aronofsky going from homage to thievery, but the way Satoshi did this is super elegant. And this movie, you know, pays homage to Western culture over and over again, right? It looks at internal issues, and we discussed those at great length. But when it comes up from a visual standpoint, you can see that Mr. Satoshi was infatuated with a lot of Western media. I mean, this movie has a vein running through it, which is Hitchcock all the way. But when it comes down to the kinetic energy of a horror sequence, it's giallo. You can dance around it, but when you see glass and metal, glass shattering and the glinting of a blade, that's giallo. And the way it's done in this, I was in awe. I forgot I forgot. It's too much time has passed. It was beautiful. By the way, we did watch a 4K transfer, Ricky.
Yep.
That's
cool.
Fine.
The scene that really caught my attention that I completely forgot about was the lift scene.
Dude, that's exactly what I was just about to say. The entire lift scene is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the fact that it's actually one of the goriest scenes, and it's completely non-violent because you see nothing. And it's so, and yeah, Umba's right. It's very Giallo-esque, the finding of a body with no eyes and blood smeared everywhere. It's so good.
And like
that simple one scene of the lift being read with that CD player. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for the exact model of that CD player. And there's so many, which honestly, because they looked at a real object and chucked it in there. And I think it's Sanyo.
Yeah.
I mean, but I was just like, that just one still image. And that is 7 seconds. You look at that one shot and it holds on that for such a long time in an animation. That's crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I could probably talk for like 45 minutes straight about like color theory in this movie, but that lift scene, I think, is like the perfect capture of that, where like red overpowers so much in this movie. And tying it back to what Umba said with the gore, blood is red. It's so powerful that he's tying in thematically that, gore, blood, red, all that, in color theory, red is normally used as like a way to show a character's like descent into madness in a way. And so when you see that lift of, okay, here's the entire floor is just covered in red, and then you got the CD player, like the player, which, in a way represents Mima as a musician, as a singer. And it's like being consumed by the red. And then you have a scene later where she like crushes a glass in her hand when she's talking to Rumi. And that's also like going back to what Umba said, like that giallo kind of like, glass breaking, shattering. And we have it literally there where it's like glass shatters in her hand. And then what do we see as a close up? Her palm bleeding.
But we also get to see the use of red increasing during the entire movie. Mm-hmm. So you see small parts at the beginning, lipstick, shoes, and as it progresses, like all the bars are red, the lift is red, the like structure of things become more red up until the end.
Even her poster is red.
Yeah.
The red fish poster.
And this film does something really interesting, because actually thinking back to it, there's actually a red herring death, which is part of Double Blind, that comes out of nowhere. It's
I want to watch that show, man. I want to watch that show.
Is it Double Bind or Double Blind?
Double Bind. Okay. Sorry. Re-edit everything. So you get some red herrings, and the next death you get after the elevator is probably one of the most action-packed deaths I've ever seen in anime. And then after that, it's probably Ninja Scroll took that over.
Is that the pizza delivery?
The pizza delivery scene is
amazing.
blinding.
Amazing.
Like her image in the background while she's like raising and stabbing up, and also like just the number of stabs and how he like walks away and he's spilling everywhere. And it's not
super elegant as well.
Yeah,
the way it's done, it's like,
and it's not Fist of the North Star like blood just like gushing everywhere. It is so realistic and so like paced.
Even the coloring is different when she's behind the sheet of glass, and it's almost like she's bursting out of the screen.
Yeah, it's so good
through the glass. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's one of those. This is definitely one of those movies that both confirms and as well as denies all of those people who hate anime. They, whenever I've talked about anime, they're like, "Oh, if I want to see a pair of tits, I'd watch a live action film." And I'm like, anime's not about pair of tits. And then I put on Perfect Blue, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. But at the same time,
which, by the way, the sexual violence that we were talking about earlier, it's heavily fetishized. Because
totally,
it is, because it made me feel dirty And a couple of times I'm not afraid of, because that's the intent. That was the intent.
Yeah, because the intent is it's trying to match the male gaze of her photo shoot with the sexual violence that comes towards the end.
It's fetishized,
Yeah, and but again, this is one of those films that I would always say to people, like, if you want to watch a good, solid, suspenseful, dramatic anime, this is one of those films. It is a joy to revisit this film with you guys.
It really was, yeah. It really was. Now, before we get to ratings, it would be ideal to ask our guest, what have you got going on, Gregg?
Yeah, so currently working on some new music lately. Working now on the third album. I just released my second one, Near and Far. It's about dehumanization of technology, and it's a whole concept album from start to finish. I do recommend anybody that checks it out, start from the first track and listen through. But working on a new album now, that's similar direction. I'm going to take back some of the heavy tech themes that I had in there and try some other things. I've been wanting to bridge more of my photography interests into the music. So I added some samples recently of camera shutters and clicks and stuff in the background, and then the lyrics have references to different photography terminology, golden hour, overexposure, underexposed, things along those lines. And then I'm also working on a cover album with the wife.
I listened to Tada. I assume that it's pronounced like that. Is it Tada?
Yeah,
right?
Tada, exactly. You got it.
You released that in 2023, and then Near and Far in 2026. But this is conjecture. This is what I felt when I heard the two albums, which are pretty different, actually. And I said at the beginning of this podcast, it won't end up in the recording, but let me repeat myself by saying that I gave you a warning before we started recording today, saying that I'll give you some praise, that I don't want this to come across as criticism, but I did Tada first and then Near and Far. First of all, it seemed to me that the gestation period of an album, I don't know how long it takes, but if it came out in 2023, you must have worked on this throughout the pandemic as well, I assume. And you can fucking hear it. You can hear it in Tada. You can also, you can feel some of the light coming back before you released it. But then I heard Near and Far. Near and Far is a little bit of a brighter album than Tada. The influences that I picked up on, because I was in the kitchen, it was playing on all 6 speakers in the house, and I came from the kitchen because it's on Spotify. For our listeners, you can find most of the Atomic Dream Age bodywork on Spotify. Are you on Amazon Music as well? Can they find you?
I'm on all major streaming, Tidal, YouTube.
There you go. So
Apple
no
Music.
excuses. They can find you anywhere, right? Go eat it up. And I highly recommend that you do. Start with Tada and then work your way to Near and Far. As I was listening to Tada, I came from the kitchen and I was in the other room, and I came in and I was like, can you hear New Order here? There's New Order in here. And then from New Order in Near and Far, there's more of an Interpol influence. I don't know if you're a fan, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this to label your work as derivative in any way, shape or form. These are compliments, dude. All right. And I was pleased to hear the evolution. And then I looked at the cover on Near and Far, and I saw this woman, but even if it's one shot, there's enough intimacy in the shot. And even it's one of the tracks that it's in Near and Far, which is, it's the opening track, I think. It's, Reconnected.
I've been longing to talk with you, wish to see each other face to face. Only the world was small enough for me to hold and spin your way. The glow compresses, we entwine. Circuits spark, a pathway shines. Wires twist, they bend and hold to pull your voice into my space. Reconnected just for a while. Reconnected, how it makes me smile.
Are you singing that with your wife? Are you singing that with Chloe?
Yeah, it's a track later on in the album, but yeah, that's a duet with Chloe.
Because Reconnected is the sweetest track in that album for me in Near and Far. But also I picked my favorites. from near and far. And I've got them here. You want to hear what they are?
Of course.
Right. Not to deter our listeners to listen to the entire thing, but I had to pick favorites. So Binary Ghosts, I really, really liked in near and far. Future Fades, I really liked. And at number 1, which I wasn't expecting this to surprise me this way because I didn't listen to them in order. I picked tracks and then listened to the entire thing, but this one came on top, and no better time to listen to this track called Liminal Space. From Tada, which is your first album, Sleep Well and Have Sweet Dreams hit a nerve a little bit. But the one that I really liked was Onward. That's the one that I quite liked from that album.
I really like the lyrics in Binary Ghost.
It's a good track. And hey, that's high praise from Steve. You know that guy's a rock star, right?
And I'm assuming you're also like a Trent Reznor fan as well. Like I wanted to have that sort of percussion for Binary Ghosts. Yeah, what about the sound design?
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The transitions in scenes and the audio, especially when we look at I know we've already discussed this scene, which is the car park, and just the way the direction of the sound is and how the sound from the stereo is over. Like it's just amazingly well done.
It's emphatic as well. Even the score is non-intrusive, and the man responsible for the music, we mentioned him at the beginning. His name is Masahiro Ikumi, and I was surprised to see that he only did 2 soundtracks. So it must have been a musician, a accomplished musician, but not in this field, probably.
The one thing I want to say about the stereo is that it made me nostalgic for that tinny sound. Nowadays, I'm so all about
you're talking
fidelity.
about the boombox in the elevator?
Yeah. And it has that really tinny Sanyo.
It sounded exactly like it would.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I nostalgic for that sound now that I look for fidelity now wherever I go?
You just explained every vinyl collector in the world.
Yeah, I felt like the sound design was definitely a huge part of what added to the disorientation of the movie. Like there's several scenes where sound carries over even after the transition completes. And then like the juxtaposition of like the bright, sugary, like upbeat Cham music.
The contrast is full on.
Contrast, like there's a scene where like when the photographer is being murdered, you have the cheerful idol song playing on in the background.
But even the sound of the imaginary Mima, like there is that weird like
ethereal kind of
echo going on with her voice.
Yeah, it's like AI today.
Let's call it the Mr.
Like,
Burns effect.
It's like a ChatGPT voice.
I bring you love.
I bring you love.
Is that the love between a man and a woman, or the love of a man for a fine Cuban cigar?
I bring you love.
It's bringing love. Don't let it get away.
Break its legs.
About the sound design, there's another movie that comes to mind, and we mentioned it during Battle Royale. We talked about Mr. Takeshi Kitano, and I think we mentioned it, how there's that, the movie that we mentioned was Hanabi, that we rhapsodized about a little bit about, which at some point we will do on the show. One of the things that, because I would love to revisit that, but my first impression of that movie was incredible. But one of the things I remember the most is the contrast between, like the definition of contrast. So thematically, visually, from an audio standpoint, that movie is a quintessential example of how to do like a strong shift in tone using contrast. It goes from extreme violence to extreme quiet and peace. There is one thing that happens in this movie over and over again, which is, and we're still on sound because the sound really aids it, I think, not just from a visual standpoint. It's the loop. There is a slight loop in this movie, and it's done so tastefully. It doesn't fall into the realm of repetition, but it actually happens 4 or 5 times. And it's how our protagonist wakes up in bed. So it usually happens right after a burst of violence in this movie. And she wakes up in this really sterile environment, which is not the way either Rumi or her bedroom looks, but it's the way the world feels when you awaken. You know, there's an absence of define lines and contrast. You're just coming to, and it's done so well in this movie just by taking saturation out, you know, and it comes across as a world of sterility that then, you know, absorbs color. That's how you come to consciousness. And it happens in this movie over and over again, but it's so blatantly emphatic because of the transition. We talked about the disassociation of our protagonist. Was it you, Greg, when you talked about how she starts separating, not reality, but she starts disassociating from the intensity of what's happening in a world, in her career.
We call that, there's definitely a fragile psyche. And then like in philosophy, they call that like this term called liminality, which is like the in-between stages of life. Mm-hmm. And so our character Mima is in a state of liminality, going between a state of I'm a pop idol to now I'm an actress. Yeah,
the transition, right? But the first time this is a sequence that left a mark for me and we didn't talk about it. I think it was pretty poignant. It's when she's in the car. It's right after the simulated raping scene, but that happens in the show. And she's in the car. And her manager, or one of her managers, I can't remember his name, is the one that gets the exploding envelope and then recovers after. Mr. Tadokoro is crying at the wheel. He's crying at the wheel. And then he goes, I was going to take you for a meal. And he gets interrupted because the next sentence coming out of his mouth is, but you're not going to be in the mood to go and eat out. And she goes, yeah, I'm hungry. Let's go. And it's, you know, it's that kind of resilience that comes out of youth, that comes out of Mima, because we don't know what's ahead yet.
Yeah, and that's one way to look at it. And then on repeated viewings, that's the start of the dissociation.
Yeah, it is. It's where it begins. Yeah. It's when she starts separating, which is what happens. It happens to people in the adult film industry. Mm-hmm. It happens. It's fucked up. Yeah. And there's drugs involved in the industry as well, by the way.
Yeah, definitely about her like battle to retain control of her identity. Who's the film's real antagonist? Is it Rumi, Mimania, the entertainment industry, the audience, or is it the idea and concept of celebrity itself?
They all are players in.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's a case to say Mima is the real antagonist.
You mean Rumi?
No, I mean Mima. Mima's the one who is forcing herself out of her comfort zone. She leaves the group just before they get on the charts. And that kills her. So she then goes that step further and starts doing adult material to prove that I've taken the right step away from being a pop idol.
Yeah, but the framework and the society around her is so there's coercion, right? So she's being forced against herself. That's the true antagonist, like Greg is saying, I think it's, and you would agree, it's this world. This world is the fucking enemy, you know, this process is the true antagonist here, because even Rumi, villains are made.
Yeah.
Villains are fucking made, unless you're Michael Myers.
What I'm saying is, it depends what theme you're going down. Like, if you want, you could also say the male manager is the worst of them all. Like, he's literally the one who's like cementing the deals and
at the beginning,
whatever. But and
all
again,
cogs. You could say all cogs in this.
Yeah, exactly. Because like Rumi is naturally you want to say Rumi because she goes completely psycho. She wants to take over Mima's career completely. To an extent, do you remember that scene where they have a performance and then all the otakus were like, she's come back, and it's blatantly Rumi, like Rumi dressed up like Mima, because both the other duo of the pop are just kind of giving that weird look to each other, like what's going on. And also the lyrics aren't their new single. It's actually tied back to their first single, or the first single we know of them. But yeah, I feel like this is one of those melting pots where, yes, the protagonist is Mima because we are following Mima. So she is, but then unreliable narrator, but not on top of that. There are so many other factors that are destroying everybody's lives. To an extent that there's even a point where you feel sorry for Mr. Mania. Mr. Mimania.
Ushida. Yeah.
Apart from,
who was obviously, he has an intellectual disability.
Yes. Apart from when the final confrontation scene happens, and
when
then
he
you're
talks
like,
for the first time.
That guy.
Yeah, because he talks for the first time.
Straight away, you're just like, fuck that guy.
Get the hammer. Get the hammer, motherfucker. Yeah. I think it's ratings times.
Bongo la, bongo cha cha cha, parlami del Sud America. Quello che dicono laggiù, forse è fantasia e nulla più. Bongo la, bongo cha cha cha, è davvero così fantastica. Dimmelo con sincerità, nelle notti a Rio che si fa.
Okay, this is a super duper recommend from me. 9.3 is the score I gave it. I have given you a whole host of reasons to put down whatever TV series you're trying to consume at the moment, whatever movie you're trying to catch up on, and go find this movie and watch it. This is definitely one of those top anime films that will basically make you want to go watch other anime. This is also a very solid serial killer thriller. There's also something about this film that, as Steve said, as we've all said, there'll be something that every time you watch it, there's that little bit of tidbitness that you come back for and you want to see it again, or you want to connect all the layers and all the little sinew areas back to each other. So I'm giving this a 9.3. That means that not only will I watch this again, but I will put you in a chair and I will strap you in and I will make you watch in the most defiled, awful way possible.
He will put a belt on your ankles.
Yeah, it will be worse than A Clockwork Orange and what Alex goes
I was
through.
just thinking exactly the same scene.
Holy shit, mate.
A 9.3, very, very awful adult images that show pubic hair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, not a problem with pubic hair at all. It's just the way that it's portrayal. It's a portrayal of pubes in this. Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 9.0. And like Ricky, I would try and force anybody to watch this movie, except for my wife, because she doesn't watch anime and she still won't watch this movie. Oh, fuck my life.
It's good to bring a lack of consent into your scoring
do you know,
at the end of our conversation.
No, right. I'm just going to say this. Mary really likes Black Swan.
I should fucking love this movie then.
I know.
Fuck you, Darren. Get in here. Get in here, Darren.
Aronofsky. Murray.
This is a very strong contender to best animated movie I have ever watched. This is basically akin to Akira for what Akira did for Cyberpunk.
Same territory. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. This is going to be a nine vicious stabs from a pizza delivery person That's my rating.
All right.
Go watch this movie, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't aware that we could do points, like decimal, with the ratings. But even then, like, I'm still going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. First watch, it was fantastic. Just watched it for the first time a few days ago. And now I'm like eager to check out more from this director. I've seen Paprika before, but now I got to go through the rest. And, amazing, first entry from this director. Highly recommend everyone to check it out. And my ranking would be 10 Tetrafish out of 10 Tetrafish.
It's a 9. It is a 9. It's, again, another joyous experience, revisiting something that perhaps the first time around we didn't. In this instance, I don't even want to say that we didn't have the tools. I think because it was ahead of its time, this movie is a definition of ahead of its time. It's a movie that takes place in a very real present and in a setting that portrays a society. You said Japan, but I think it's global. We all think it's global. And it was exposed at a time in which nobody wanted to gaze in that direction because, somehow it was socially acceptable to just take this in as something else. But someone decided to speak up, and that man was Satoshi Kon. This is magnum opus. Like, Paprika is an excellent movie, but this movie is truly the mark of an artist that had vision. And usually, an artist with vision dies in destitution. It takes years for that work to be recognized. Usually this happens posthumously, right? I adore this experience. I think it deserves another transfer as well. It deserves more care. Someone needs to inject some money into this. We already decided who needs to put his hand in his pocket, make a public announcement, a public apology. Mr. Darren Aronofsky, if you're not listening to this, because we're going to tag you, if you listen to this time, it's redemption time. Do the right thing. All right. But it's a 9. It's a 9 exploding envelopes. We already said that we highly recommend this movie. What are you doing? This episode's over. Go, seek it, watch it. And on that note, this was Umba.
This was Steve.
This is Ricky.
This is Gregory.
We passed up on the stair. We spoke of was and when. Although I wasn't there, he said I was his friend, which gave us some surprise. I spoke into his eyes. I thought you died alone a long, long time ago.
I mean, you're an asshole. You're an asshole. I regret inviting you. Look what I wrote. Dead Tetras. Now I need to come up with something else.
Well, you've got the dead Tetras. What if I got the live one? So I have the live Tetras.
No.
It
don't work like
fish.
that. No.
The dead fish is yours.
Dead fish.
I'll find something else.
We're screwing over Umba.
Yeah.
It's good.
With the